So today we've got a 2010 Kia Sportage. It's the 2 litre petrol engine with 117,000 miles on the clock. So when driving this car over slightly rough ground, little potholes in the road, speed bumps, you get a knocking noise which sounds to me like driver's side front, but it also kind of resonates across the front as well. So I'm thinking it's something to do with the anti-rollbar, being as it's bolted to the bottom of the car and the noise will travel from one side to the other. So I'm going to take it up in the air, get the driver's front wheel off and see what we find. Right, first thing to locate, locking wheel nut key, which fortunately was in the car. Oh, that's it. Just want to crack all these loose before you jack the car up or take it up on the ramp. Right, okay. I'll take this up in the air and get the wheel off. Right, I don't think it's steering related because if you shook the steering wheel it didn't make the noise that I'm looking for. So we've got the anti-rollbar here, which connects to the shock absorber via a drop link, and that's got ball joints top and bottom. That's a very common problem for those to wear out, make a bit of a knocking noise. And you've also got, up under here, it's a bit difficult to see, but there are mounting points each side with a rubber bush. Those rubber bushes can wear out and cause a knocking as well. But the noise is, I think it's more this side than the other, but it does go across the car. So you can get the hold of the anti-rollbar. Should be a tight fit, you shouldn't be able to move it. When those bushes wear, you can kind of pull and push it a little bit or go up and down, but that is solid in there. So these ball joints, yeah, it's a little bit difficult to do from this angle. Should be able to push. That's the noise. I can move that roll bar up and down slightly. I think it's this bottom ball joint here on the drop link was worn. Doesn't sound much there, but when you're driving down the road, you can imagine the noise is magnified. So I think we'll replace that drop link and give it another run. You've got to start somewhere, and that ball joint's definitely got wear in it, so hopefully that will be what we're looking for. So I'm just going to give these a bit of a brush off. The threads, as you can imagine, they get filthy. All the rainwater and muck off the road. They can make them corrode up and they can be a bit of a pain to undo. That'll do. Give it a little bit of spray, WD-40 or something similar. I'll do the same with the bottom one. It's a ball joint at the bottom with a nut round the back here, a little bit more tricky to see. They can be a bit of a pain to undo sometimes, because if you crack the nut loose and the stud starts spinning as well, because it's a ball and socket, there's nothing to stop it from rotating. So you want to give it its best chance of coming off. Sometimes there's a nut shape on the back which you can put a spanner on to hold the stud still. Sometimes they have a hole in the front where you can put an Allen key in there to hold it still while you undo the nuts. This one must have something around the back here. It's an old drop link, so I'll probably just use mole grips to hold on to that while I buzz the nut off. That's an advantage of an impact gun, really. You've got more chance of getting the nut off, although the bottom one, clearly I won't be able to get a gun in there, I'll have to use a spanner. But we'll let that soak anyway for a little while, and hopefully it'll come off without too much aggro. Right, so that's had a while to soak now with some WD-40 on it. As you can see, I've put a pair of mole grips on there to try and stop this stud from spinning. I'll have a go at undoing it with a gun. Hopefully it will just come straight off. Yeah, famous last words. I think that's rounded it a little bit. What I'll do now, I'll get another socket and an extension, half-inch drive ratchet, I think, and see if I can crack it loose. Right, I've got another 17mm socket, which isn't quite as worn as the one I had on the gun. It's a bit of a tighter fit. Yeah, that's going. You can see what I mean about the stud spinning, so you need to be able to hold that still somehow. Right, that's the top nuts removed. It just slides out. You can see there are two flats on there, which is meant to be for a spanner. Obviously it depends which direction that ends up facing when it's been fitted as to whether you can get a spanner in there. But being as it's an old one, I'll just use the mole grips, so they're a bit easier to get in. So I've now got to attempt to do the same with the bottom one. It is exactly the same as that, identical, but it's just a little bit more tricky to get on, so this might take me a little while. I'm going to have to find a longer spanner, crack that loose, but I'll do the same again, put the mole grips in there, unless I can get a spanner on there. Oh yeah, that makes life a little bit easier. I'll grab another spanner and see if I can crack that loose and undo it. So after struggling a bit with two spanners in a confined area, I actually found that the ratchet with a deep socket fits through the lower suspension arm there. So that should come out now. That's it. I think it's this one. Yeah, I can't really show you on the camera, but you can move it in and out slightly. just a ball and socket in there that's worn, that's all. A nylon socket. Yeah, that end's a lot tighter. That's how that should be. Yeah. I'll grab the new one and we'll whack it back together. So here's our new drop link, which the ball and socket joints on each end are nice and snug, tight. Comes with new nuts as well. Now this one doesn't have flats to put a spanner on, and you can't really use mole grips on a new one because you'll end up ripping the rubber boots. But what it does have is an Allen key slot down the middle. So a little bit fiddly, but you have to use a spanner on the nuts, put an Allen key in the middle, stop it spinning. Being nylock nuts, they'll do up so far, nice and easy, as that one did. But then once they get to the that blue ring in there, the nylon, the stud has to cut a new thread into it, and that's what prevents it from rattling loose. I will just see if that one will buzz up with my gun, because it will make life a lot easier if it does, for one of them anyway. I can't get on the bottom one with the gun. Brilliant. Not sure what configuration tools I'm going to use on this bottom one, but I'll put a spanner on it first. See if oh no, actually the deep socket reached in there. Hopefully the ball and socket's such a nice snug fit that it will stop the stud from spinning. But if not, I'll have to resort to the Allen key. Ah, looks like I've been lucky with that. That's tight enough. Just double check that top one. Yeah, lovely. So there we have it, one anti-rollbar stabiliser link or drop link. Hopefully that will cure the rattle. We'll get the wheel back on and give it a run up the road. Right. Get this wheel back on. Right, that'll do. I'll check the tightness of those when it's on the floor with the bar